Hey everybody, give me 10 seconds. I want to showcase a business with someone a happy birthday or an anniversary. Listen in. Pet-friendly golf carts in Crystal Beach, Texas. Crystal Beach Golf Cart Rentals, located at 2902 Highway 87 on Bolivar Peninsula. Hey everybody, I'm David with Bolivar Live, and once again it's insurance talk. But today we always do different shows.
We do.
We talk fishing, we talk shrimp.
We talk insurance.
We talk insurance, and that's what the show's really for. But to show a different side of things and to keep it interesting, today we're going to talk the New York City Marathon, which happened a week ago Sunday. And I'm happy to say Dan Priest from Priest Insurance started it, finished it. Out of 55,000 people, he finished it.
I did.
And for a lot of people, that's the accomplishment, isn't it?
Yeah, that's always the accomplishment. You know, when you talk to marathoners and people that have done a lot of them, you know, it's just about the finishing. And
I mean, you've got your runners in there, because we were talking earlier.
There were people, the elite people, think about this, ran 15 miles an hour for 26 miles.
That's what I was going to say. We figured out how fast they ran. It was like a 2-point-something minute mile, wasn't it?
No, it's like it's about a 4:12.
4:12?
Yeah, that's fast. And then, but the last guy, this was a really great race. The last guy was 83, and he finished sometime at night. I don't know when it was,
but
I think
finished.
He finished, and you know, I've run a long time. I started running when I was 17 years old.
From the law or exercise or
exercise.
Let me talk to Randy about that in Lumberton.
Yeah, Randy would know the story. So I was kind of a heavy kid, and one day I went out and I decided to run 5 miles, and I got on the scale and I was like, man, I lost 5 pounds. This is great. I can do this. But I started running when I was 17 and found a joy for it, and never have I stopped. I did triathlons for a while, and we didn't run my first marathon, although I should have. I didn't run my first marathon until 15 years ago. And I've run several since. I don't know how many, lots of half marathons. I've traveled, met fabulous people in the running community. It's been great.
You've done the Boston too.
I have done Boston.
Have you ever done the Houston?
I've done the Houston half.
Half?
Yeah. I don't know why I've never done. I've gone to a lot of places and run a lot of marathons. I don't know why I've never done the Houston. I've done the Woodlands. Yeah, there's a lot of great ones. But so New York was different. There were 56,000 people, and
runners.
Yeah, runners.
And what time did the first wave start?
The first wave was the wheelchair division that started at roughly 8 o'clock.
Okay.
So there's different ways you could get on. I chose the Staten Island Ferry, and we stayed up near Central Park, if you know New York, because it was close to the subway. So there we are. I had a 7 o'clock date on the ferry. Kimberly went. We went to, and we brought a friend because, well, my wife's directionally challenged, and she had to be able to get back to the hotel. So anyway, so we are getting on the subway at 6:15 in the morning with a bunch of runners at Central Park. And we take that to the Staten Island Ferry. And I don't know if you've been to New York, I don't know what you think about New York, but they are a sports town, and they are a loud town. So in getting on that ferry, it's herds and herds and herds of people jammed up. You get on the ferry and the city officials, they're all just screaming and yelling. Then we get across, we get on a bus, we take it to the start line. I'm at the start line at 8 o'clock, right?
And what time did you leave?
I didn't start running. I left the hotel at 6:15.
And what time did your wave leave?
10:20.
10:20.
And if you're a runner, and you get up in the morning, generally most runners, it's like I wake up, have a cup of coffee, and go. That was a long wait. And but the first mile was over a bridge, a lot like the Galveston to Houston bridge. It was a mile uphill.
That's what you were telling me.
Man, it was something. And then we start downhill. The folks in Brooklyn, 12 or 13 miles in Brooklyn, 8, 10 people deep for 26 miles. It was, the support was
cheering you on,
cheering every runner on. And I wear, you know, I didn't have names on my bib, but I wore a Michigan hat. My best friend, brother who wasn't a brother, passed away from cancer a few years ago, and he was a Michigan fan. So so I became a Michigan fan, and I'm wearing this Michigan hat, and I promise you, 250, 300 times, I'd heard nothing but "Go Blue." So they found something to support people with all the way through. Medical was great. The crowds were phenomenal. The town, I don't
lights
know,
up.
it lights up, and it comes alive for this event. And you know, I run because I like to run. I enjoy it. I know a lot of people think you're nuts. Well, I am. But it's a serene thing. I don't listen to music. I just go run and look at what's around me. It was a beautiful experience. You know,
How was the weather?
Oh, well, that's another funny thing. So training in the summer in August for a marathon
That's tough.
was not, I did not enjoy that part at all. To get up at 4 a.m. to run 20 miles was a lot. And I don't know that I'll ever do a fall marathon again. And probably won't. And we'll see about marathons. Maybe I'll just go to halves.
How old are you?
65. This was my birthday present to myself.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
No, I wanted people to know how old you were, that you were running marathons still.
My first marathon I did when I was 50. As like, you know, here I am. I'm going to go run a marathon.
15 years
I've been
later.
running all these years, and 15 years later, I don't know how many I've run. It's just become part of what you do. I mean, some people are bike riders. Some people lift weights. Some people play tennis. I happen to run.
So when you're training for this, how far in advance, you know, if you run typically, are you running 5 or 6 miles, you know, just for fun?
There's a lot of different ways, you know. So there have been times in my past where I've trained for time, and that's a different type of training. This one, from the beginning, I had I trained just to finish because I knew it was going to be an August training date, so it was just about packing in the miles. So this would typically consist of a long run that started about in May or June. Started running, and you'd start build mileage, have a long run 1 day a week, and then you'd have 2 or 3 runs that were shorter, maybe 8, 3, alternate those, and then you'd build about 10% a week on that long run. My long run was 21 miles the weekend before October. And I take a little bit longer from that long, because then they call it a taper. And then the next week, maybe instead of 21, I ran 15, then 12, 10, and then the last week my long run was a 5. And that allows your muscles and everything time to heal. So when you're younger, it's a 4-week taper, maybe a 3. Now I'm at 5 weeks. And so from that point on, you know, I peaked out at about 35 miles in a week for this one.
And I asked you, when you got back, are you sore? And you said, yeah, I'm a little sore.
So the only negative thing about the New York Marathon is, if you know Central Park, we run Central Park West, and you finish, and there's just so many people. And they give you a warming jacket, which is fabulous to stay warm, because it's cool. It was 45 degrees to start, and I finished, it was about 55. So that's cool. If you're sweating, you lost about, it's cold and the wind's blowing. Well, we had to walk from about 58th, about 65th to 77th to get out of the park. That's 12 blocks north.
A long way.
Runners were kind of like the March of Death because nobody wanted to run anymore. So get to the finish. I actually felt good because, again, I did this. I didn't press. Came back down looking for my wife and her friend, and they found me. They were having a glass of champagne at the local bistro.
Celebrating for you.
They hollered at me. But we went out to dinner, and, you know, yes, a little tight, a little sore. The next morning we had to get on a plane, and
were you slow getting up?
I was just slow moving. And I remember the funniest thing was I'm heading to that subway because we're taking the train to a bus to get to LaGuardia. And heading down is different than up, okay? It was much easier to go up, but my first step down into the subway, it did hurt. And I'm carrying my suitcase, and I literally just was laughing at how stiff I was all the way down. By the end of the first day, it's pretty much gone away and kind of back to normal, yeah.
So how long do you stay off running now? to let your body mend in that?
So I've been swimming. I took a bike ride the other day. We got back so Tuesday. I took a bike ride, swam a little bit, swam yesterday. We'll see what happens today, but I probably won't run again until sometime. The earliest will be Sunday, and which will be
a week.
Yeah, it will be 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, and so from that point, I'll come back and I'll have a little 5-mile run, and then I don't know. We'll see what happens from there.
I was going to say, where's your next half marathon or race or run?
I always tell myself I'm not going to do anything for 30 days. But when I finished that race, like I really thought this might be my last one. I don't know. I actually had so much fun running this one differently, just to enjoy the crowd and to finish, instead of trying to press for a time. It was. We'll see. I'll definitely.
It's sort of like going out fishing. When I used to go out just by myself,
or golf, yeah,
you know, and just fish, I didn't have to worry about anything.
No.
You know, as long as I caught something for dinner, I was happy.
Yeah.
You know, but when you have a party out, it's completely different. You know.
It's a different game. But I imagine, you know, I've kind of got my thinking cap on. There's a. Yeah, I know. There's a race in. Kimberly, there's a race in at the end of March, I think, in Nashville. It's a rock and roll. There's bands. It's a nice little half marathon.
So you're letting her know now.
That's a possibility.
Where you're going to be.
Oh no, she'll go too. It's a two-for thing.
Two-for.
It was so nice having her there at the end and her support. And she's trying to run all over town and catch me in subways at different spots with a friend. But that was one. There's also the Woodlands, which is it's a nice half marathon to do, and they're all over the place. There's Ocracoke Island and off the Carolina or Georgia coast.
I was going to say, you travel a lot for different things. You know, whether it's baseball or music or marathons or half marathons, you try and pick some place that has a little history from what I've seen, or is a nice little getaway.
So that's been the best thing. You know, when you have something you enjoy, whether it's fishing or you enjoy running or going to baseball games. Love going to Chicago and watching the Cubs. Going to a different spot because you get to see people.
Yeah.
And you get to know people
watch
in their life and what's going on in their world, and it's just it's a really good experience. And with running, it's a good that running group of people. They're all solid people.
Yeah.
You know, that I found.
Great.
And you get a participation trophy.
Hey, finishing's 90, and that's what, you know, because we have the Bolivar Live Triathlon, and they're actually going to bring a second one back now. And I've talked to some of the runners and contestants there, and a lot of them said, I don't do it for time, I do it for enjoyment and to finish.
Yep.
You know, if I can finish and improve just a little bit each time, and they've all told me, you know, different places,
all different.
Flat ground in one area isn't the same as flat ground like down here, you know, because the air is more humid, it's a heavier air, versus you go up north and are running on flat ground somewhere.
There's so many factors. There's dew point. You know, everybody remembers the Wagon Wheel song, Rock Me Mama. Well, I found myself in Johnson City, Tennessee. And, you know, so you go there and it's all hills. And the great thing about going to Johnson City is there's food always at the end of the race, and usually it's like oranges. Well, in Johnson City, it's grits and sausage and eggs and all that.
Get those carbs back in you.
Yeah, good stuff. So
great.
It's a good thing, but thank you.
Well, thanks for joining us, and thanks for, you know, talking about your experience.
It's fun.
Whether it's fishing, he's always got an experience, and we're always going to have a different show. You never know what, and I can honestly say, other than this show, probably 90%, 95% of the time, we don't know what we're going to talk about until we meet up.
Yeah.
So some quick planning and quick deciphering. So we're going to be back next week with another show. Probably going to be on insurance. But until next time, I'm David with Bolivar Live. Y'all have a great day, great week. Come see us. God bless, and bye-bye.